Welcome to Jack of All Trades, a guidance channel for young men. Today we're going to talk about controlling your emotions. This is something of a continuation from our last video on taking personal responsibility. This is kind of an aspect of that. So controlling your emotions, it's a lot harder than it sounds. This is something that I think everyone struggles with at some point in their life and probably throughout their entire life. So it's totally normal for you to struggle with controlling your emotions, but we're going to talk a little bit about today about how to manage it and what you should be trying to shoot for. What is the goal? So Epictetus said that self-control is strength, right thought is mastery, calmness is power. And so self-control is strength, right thought. If you get in right thought, then you're into mastery, and calmness is power. And I think that's 100% true, and it's as true now as it was back when he lived. He's a Stoic philosopher. If you haven't looked into Stoicism, I highly recommend it. We'll talk more about that a little later in the video. But what this really boils down to is you shouldn't start by trying to control what you feel. That is kind of, I think, near the end of this when you're really good at it. Start by just recognizing your emotion. Recognize what you feel. Recognize, man, that makes me mad. That really pisses me off. That makes me angry. Or I'm frustrated, or whatever it is. Or even, I'm crazy happy. And maybe I need to control that because of the situation that I'm in right now or where I am. So recognize it, and then once you can recognize those emotions as you're having them and acknowledge them and recognize them, then you need to start thinking about how you should respond. And how you respond is really the key. Instead of responding based on a fleeting emotion, an emotion that you feel happy now, but you may not feel happy in an hour, or you're super mad right now, but in 30 minutes, you may not be mad. You may just be slightly frustrated. So you need to choose how you respond based on reason, based on your thoughts, and hey, what's best for me and what's best in this situation, not based on, I'm really mad, I'm going to act on that, or I'm having this emotion and I'm going to act without even thinking. So recognize your emotion, acknowledge it, and then choose. You make that choice. And that is the key here, is that you can do that and you can make that change in your life. And you're not going to get it right all the time, obviously. I fail at this all the time. I fail at it with my kids and at job and playing sports. But it's a continual thing. Just try to get better and better at it. And the more you try, the better you'll get. So we'll go through some more quotes here and we'll talk a little bit more about it. But that's really the gist of what we're going to talk about today. Marcus Aurelius, another famous Stoic philosopher, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. And that's really what it boils down to, is you can't control things outside of you. You can't control what happens. You can't control what people say to you. You can't control a lot of situations, but you can control yourself. Okay, you can control your mind, which means you can control how you feel, how you respond to how you feel, and that's the key. If you can do those things, if you can recognize how something makes you feel and acknowledge it and then choose to respond, not based on that emotion, but based on a rational decision, you will do so well in life. It will really help. Another quote here by Marcus Aurelius, choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been. And I think that's a really great quote to sit and just think about for a little bit. And what that really boils down to is you can't control these outside events, right? So somebody can say something to me that I find offensive or upsets me or hurts my feelings. And if I choose to let that hurt my feelings, then it will, and I will have been harmed. But if I choose to not let that hurt my feelings, if I choose to even acknowledge, hey, I didn't like that comment and it makes me feel this way, but I don't have to dwell on it. I don't have to dwell on that comment. I don't have to just sit and think about it and stew on it and get mad at that person and then maybe say something back or respond in a poor way or let it ruin my day. I don't have to let any of that happen. It doesn't have to ruin my day. It doesn't have to affect me really in any way unless I let it. So if I choose to not let it affect me, then it won't. And that's exactly where we're trying to get with this. And that's the key thing for controlling your emotions. Karen Waddell had another great quote, which is, don't let people who don't care about you manipulate your mind, feelings, and emotions or control how you think about yourself. Never give that much power to someone else. And that's what you're giving that person. If somebody's able to get you to react, and I don't know if you have a brother or sister, but if you do, most brothers and sisters, they know the exact thing to say, right? To frustrate you or piss you off or get you to react. And But you're giving that person power. I mean, that's a lot of power. If they can get you to react just by a comment, just by saying some words, and they're able to get a response out of you, you are giving that person power over you. And so don't do that. And especially when you start thinking about work and school and all these things. I tell my kids that all the time. You know, they've had some situations with bullies and things like that, or not even bullies, but somebody will just make an offhand comment and then they'll stew on it and dwell on it, and they'll have a bad couple days. My oldest kid, he had a whole bad weekend because somebody made one comment that they probably made off the cuff, didn't think about, and then made it and moved on with their life, and they didn't think about it. They weren't, all weekend they weren't stewing about this comment that they made that they probably didn't mean or didn't really think about. They just said this comment and then they moved on with their life and they didn't think about it, but he did. And what did they mean by this? And does this mean this? And just really stewing on this when it's not necessary. You don't need to do that. And you're giving that person power over you. And what you can do is you can say, how does that make me feel? All right, it makes me feel this way. Maybe it makes me feel sad. All right, well, I'm really sad that somebody would think that about me or say that about me. It makes me feel sad. Let me acknowledge that. All right, now let me choose how to respond. And I think as you do that and as you start to choose how to respond, right, then we can start to look at even controlling our actual emotions. So not even just acknowledging and recognizing, but controlling. I don't have to let that make me sad. I don't have to let that frustrate me. I don't have to let that thing make me angry. I don't have to. And you don't. And that's, I'm coaching a elementary school basketball team right now, and it takes one comment for the kids to blow up. One comment. Somebody misses a shot, and somebody says, come on, man, make that shot. And then the whole rest of the practice is blown because people are yelling at each other, and I just can't get anybody to listen. It is the most frustrating thing when somebody says, come on, man, make that shot. Just ignore it. Just don't let it make you mad. I play a lot of sports that happens all the time, where you'll mess something up or you'll do something bad and somebody will make a little snide remark. You don't have to let that ruin your day. You don't have to let that frustrate me. And that's something I'm working on right now as a man, trying to learn to let those things slide off my back, to not let them make me angry or frustrated or make me want to say something back to somebody, because you don't have to do that. And so this is not easy. This is one of, I think, the harder things to do because our emotions are part of who we are, right? So me, I run hot. I know that. And I am calm until I'm not. And then I run super hot. And so I have to control that. And I'm learning as I get older and as I get better at things like this and as I start to recognize, oh man, that made me angry. And then I can start, all right, I am angry. Let me acknowledge that. I'm angry. But now that I'm thinking about it and having this conscious thought, I get to choose what I do moving forward. And I don't have to do something that I'll regret later. We've all probably said something or done something out of anger that later we thought, man, I wish I hadn't done that. Well, if we had stopped and acknowledged our emotions and controlled ourselves and made a rational decision, we wouldn't have done that thing. So a couple more just key points here. Recognize your emotions. I know we've said this several times. Allow yourself to feel them and then choose. And I made that word bold, right? Choose how to respond. You make the choice. Don't let your emotions control you. If every time you get angry, you spout off, or every time you get sad, you pout, you are letting your emotions control you. And emotions are fleeting. They don't stay, right? Emotions, you're not going to be happy your whole life, but you're not going to be sad your whole life, and you're not going to be angry your whole life. You're going to be happy and sad and angry and frustrated and happy and sad. And it's going to be all over the place. And that's kind of how emotions are, right? So even if you're having the worst day in the world, it doesn't mean it's always going to be the worst day, right? Or you're going to wake up the next day, maybe you'll have a great day. Maybe you'll be having a great day and something happens and now I'm having a bad day. Like, it all changes. And so you can allow yourself to just to roll with your emotions and let that control your whole life. You'll spend all your time literally just reacting to how you feel. Instead, acknowledge, all right, I'm not having a good day. This is how it makes me feel. I'm going to choose to still try to be as positive as I can, or I'm going to still try to choose to be nice to this person, even though they weren't very nice to me. And if you make these decisions rationally, I think you'll find that you'll make better decisions. You won't regret them later. And not a lot of good comes from when you react purely to your emotions and it's, hey, maybe I reacted to something that made me happy. There's probably nothing bad coming from that. But if you just allow yourself to react to those emotions, you are going to react when you're angry and frustrated and sad, and you are going to look back a lot and regret things that you did. And you don't have to do that. And that is my point. You really don't have to. So it's hard. It's very difficult. If you do it, if you try to do it, I do believe you can get there, and I think it'll take time, and I think it's something you're going to have to work at. But I think it's worth it. This is 100% worth the effort, just like taking personal responsibility. And just like we talked about at the end of personal responsibility, that video, this is intent. You have to be intentional. This will not happen if you don't make it happen. If you don't make the conscious effort to acknowledge those emotions and choose how to respond, if you do not do that, it won't get done. And then you will just react to whatever happens to you. And I promise you, that is not a way to go through life. You need to be in control. And there's a saying, and I don't know who said it, and I've heard it several times, is that you control your own ship. You're a ship, and you can control it. Just don't try to control the sea. We can't control what happens around us. We can't control what happens during sports or school or what our family does or our friends or maybe people that we're not friends with, maybe some strangers or somebody that we're not friendly with that we don't like necessarily. You can't control any of that. You can't control what happens. You can just control yourself. And so if you can't even control that, then what are you doing? And if you can't even control that, then what are you doing? You're just reacting, you're just totally reactive, and you're just kind of floating through life. Don't let that happen. Take charge, take control your emotions. You really can do it. It's not easy, but it's very much possible. And I will say along these lines, this is very much kind of a Stoic lesson today. And so if you haven't looked into Stoicism, I highly recommend it. The Order of Man by Ryan Michler, he does an amazing job. He's got a podcast, and he's got a website and all that kinds of stuff. And so check that out. It's amazing. It's really worth looking at. I've really enjoyed it recently, listening to their podcasts, and it's a great resource. So thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, share, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what I can improve. Let me know if there's a topic you want to listen to, and we'll work on putting out another video as quick as we can. Thanks.